Chapter 4. Wendy opened the door for Peter and the boys. They all took off their hats. Wendy asked in surprise.
"Where am I?"
Slightly said.
Dear Wendy, we carefully built this house for you. Do you like the new house?
They all respectfully knelt before Wendy, pausing briefly.
Please be our kind and loving mother to us.
Wendy said with excitement and surprise.
"But I'm still just a little girl."
Peter said in a hurry.
Age doesn't matter. We just need someone who is like a mother.
Wendy smiled. Everyone shouted and became happy. Wendy stepped aside from the door and said,
"All right, I'll do my best. Come in, it's bedtime. But first I have to tell you the story of Cinderella."
Wendy put the children to bed and told them a story, but Peter didn't go to sleep. Peter stood guard outside the house with his sword drawn. He said he heard the sound of a pirate. The pirates might attack them during the night. The next day, before doing anything else, Peter measured John, Michael, and Wendy. Peter made 3 holes in the trunks of 3 trees, each the size of one of the children. The holes were entrances to the underground house. Hook didn't know that each hole was exactly the size of one of the boys, and no one else could fit through them. That's why he still hadn't caught the boys. The children went through the holes and entered the underground house. They screamed with joy when they saw the underground house. The underground house was a large and spacious room. If anyone felt like fishing, all they had to do was dig the ground a little. Beneath the ground, there was a lake for fishing. The ground was covered with large, colorful mushrooms that they used as chairs. In the middle of the house, there was a tree growing, and every morning they would saw its trunk. By evening, the tree would grow a meter taller. In the evenings, the boys used the tree as a table. They would sit around it and have their afternoon snack. And whenever they wanted to play, they would cut the tree down to ground level, so there would be enough space. Wendy had strung a rope above the stove to hang the washed clothes. There was also a big bed by the wall where all the boys except Michael slept. Since Michael was the youngest, he slept in a basket hanging from the ceiling. There was an indentation in the wall, just the size of a birdcage. This indentation was Tinker Bell's special home. Tinker Bell's home was separated from the room by a small curtain. Her home was probably the most beautiful home in the world. Her sofa was soft and lovely. With the changing seasons, the bedspread and the fabric on her sofa would change too. In spring, Tinker Bell's bedspread was covered with blossoms, and in autumn it was full of yellow leaves from the trees. Tinker Bell's home had precious carpets and a beautiful, luxurious chandelier made of flower petals. Tinker Bell always looked at the boys' room with disdain. Wendy took great care of the boys. In the story of the poisoned cake by the pirates, Wendy didn't let the children eat the cake. When the boys went to sleep, Wendy finally had a chance to mend the sewing. Wendy had found the tame wolf of her dreams in Neverland. The tame wolf followed Wendy everywhere. At night, when Wendy stayed awake, the wolf would doze off beside her. Sometimes Wendy would remember her parents. She knew her parents kept the window open, hoping for their return. One day, Wendy realized that John no longer remembered their parents. Michael, too, preferred to think of Wendy as his real mother. Wendy felt sad when she saw that her brothers had forgotten their parents. She tried to talk more about their parents so her brothers wouldn't forget them. On days when they were alone, Wendy would ask John and Michael,
"Do you remember what color Mother's eyes were? Was Mother taller or was Father? Do you remember the way Mother and Father used to laugh?"
Slightly, who missed her mother very much, would sit next to John and Michael and answer Wendy's questions. No matter how much Wendy told her that our mom and dad are different from yours, Slightly wouldn't believe it. Life in the land of dreams was monotonous and simple. Every day, Peter invented a new game. They would repeat the game so many times until Peter got bored of it. Sometimes the boys would sit on chairs and throw their balls up in the air. Other times they would push each other or go outside for a walk. The only one who couldn't sit still was Peter. It seemed that sitting quietly or just walking was a ridiculous thing for Peter to do. Most of the time, Peter would go out alone. No one knew where Peter went or what he did. Even he himself couldn't remember what he had done when he went out. Once during one of these walks, Peter saved a tiger from the swamp. The tiger became Peter's supporter for the rest of its life. Neverland, there was a beautiful swamp. The boys would swim in the swamp during the long summer days. Sometimes they would play with the mermaids too. Wendy didn't get along well with the mermaids. She thought the mermaids weren't very polite. The mermaids would dive into the water and splash Wendy, who was sitting by the edge, with their tails. They weren't very nice to the boys either. Only Peter knew how to get along with them. Sometimes Peter would sit on the mermaids' tails and play with them. One day, Peter gave Wendy a mermaid's comb. Wendy didn't really like Peter's gift because she didn't like the mermaids. She didn't like anything that had to do with the mermaids. Wendy had never seen the lagoon under the moonlight because she believed everyone should be in bed by 7 o'clock. She herself would always go home and sleep before sunset. Wendy would go to the lagoon on sunny days. On those days, the mermaids would come out of the water and play with their bubbles. The mermaids would toss the bubbles to each other with their tails like balls. They would keep doing this until the bubbles popped. But as soon as the boys arrived, the mermaids would disappear. The boys had to play by themselves. Of course, the mermaids kept an eye on the boys and secretly teased them. Wendy insisted that after lunch the boys should rest for half an hour. One day, while the boys were lying on the rocks, Wendy sat beside them and started sewing. Suddenly, small waves formed on the swamp, and at that very moment, the sky became cloudy. The shadow of the clouds darkened the ground. Everywhere became dark. Wendy looked up in fear. She remembered the story of the wicked captain who left his crew on the rocks to drown in the sea's tides. Wendy quickly got up to wake the children. But the children were sleeping so soundly that she couldn't bring herself to disturb their afternoon nap. Wendy heard the sound of oars in the swamp. Her heartbeat quickened. Fortunately, Peter sensed the danger and jumped up. He shouted from the middle of the rocks to wake everyone up. Peter signaled for everyone to be quiet. Then he stood completely still. He brought his hand close to his ear and shouted,
"Pirates! Legendary! Fearsome pirates! Pirates!"
Everyone gathered around Peter. Peter gave a strange smile. One of those smiles that meant everyone had to obey him. Peter shouted,
"Dive right now!"
The children dove in. They hid behind one of the marshy rocks and secretly watched the pirates' boat. The pirates' boat came close to the rock. Wendy and Peter peeked out from behind the rock. Wendy was about to cry, but Peter was more angry than anything. Instead of waiting for the pirates to leave, Peter came up with another idea. He imitated Hook's voice.
"Hey, you clumsy fools. Oh, what are you doing?"
The pirates looked at each other in surprise. They thought maybe the captain had swum up behind them and come after them. The pirates looked around, but they didn't see anything. One of the pirates shouted,
"Captain, we've captured a Native American and we're taking him to the rock. We've caught another one too. Right now he's lying at the bottom of the boat, tied up hand and foot."
"Let him go. Cut his ropes carefully and set him free."
"But Captain, please."
"Looks like you want me to throw my hook at you too, huh?"
The pirates cut the ropes binding the Native American woman. The Native American woman dove into the water like a fish. Wendy was delighted. Peter was excited too. He almost said something and gave himself away. Wendy quickly covered Peter's mouth with her hand. Suddenly, Hook's voice echoed through the swamp. The real Hook was swimming toward the boat. He quickly reached the boat. Wendy saw Hook's wicked face. She wanted to run away in fear, but Peter didn't move an inch. He gestured to Wendy. "Be quiet and listen." The captain grabbed the edge of the boat and pulled himself up. Sadly, he rested his head on his hook. One of the pirates asked, trembling with fear.
"Captain, is everything all right with you? I'm just checking."
Hook groaned softly.
"The boys have found a mother. A girl has come to them to play the role of their mother. Now their game is complete. They have a mother now."
One of the pirates asked in surprise.
"A mother?
What really is a mother?"
Wendy was startled. She couldn't believe such foolishness. She said to herself.
What a bunch of mind thieves.
At that moment, a strange sound was heard. Hook looked around. Peter pulled Wendy under the water. The pirates looked at the surface of the water. They saw a strange sight. On the water, there was a dreamy bird. It looked just like the bird that appeared in Wendy's dreams. The bird was sitting on its eggs. Seeing the bird, Hook said,
"This bird is the mother bird. Even though its nest is in the water, it still hasn't left its eggs alone.
Hook fell silent. It was as if he remembered his childhood. He remembered the days when he dreamed of the mother bird. The pirates stared at the bird in silence. One of the pirates, who was always suspicious of everything, brought the conversation back to Wendy.
If this girl is the boy's mother, then she's come here to save Peter.
Another pirate said.
Let's kidnap their mother and make her our own mother.
An idea came to Hook's mind.
We'll kidnap all the children and take them with us to the ship, and Wendy will become our mother too.
Suddenly, Wendy forgot everything. She jumped up in distress and said,
Never really.
The pirates looked around. They thought some branches had moved. Suddenly, Hook remembered the Indian woman. He asked,
Where is she? Where is the Indian woman?
The pirates thought Hook was joking. They said they had released the woman as he had ordered. As soon as Hook heard this, he roared. His face turned purple with rage.
I didn't give that order to anyone at any time.
The pirates were seized with fear. They thought the men had been possessed by spirits. Hook turned his head and looked around. He shouted loudly,
Can anyone out there hear me, please?
Peter imitated Hook's voice again.
I can hear you, just to be clear.
The pirates looked at each other in terror. Captain Hook was sitting in front of them, but his voice was coming from somewhere else. The pirates hugged each other out of fear. Hook asked pleadingly,
Stranger, who or what exactly are you?
The mysterious voice replied in a calm and steady tone,
I am Hook, the infamous captain of the notorious pirate ship.
Then, with a sudden shout, Hook exclaimed loudly, If you are truly Hook, then who am I supposed to be? Peter said, You? You're a dead fish? Hook, confused and dazed, looked around. The pirates looked at Hook with doubt and suspicion. They had really started to believe that Captain Hook was a dead fish. Hook was completely demoralized. He no longer had any confidence in himself. He took a deep breath and shouted, Let's see, do you have any other voices? Peter couldn't resist playing along with this game. Cheerfully and playfully, he answered his own voice. Yes, I do. Are you some kind of vegetable?
No, perhaps a stone. Still no. Maybe an animal, or could it be a human? None of them.
Hook wiped the sweat from his forehead and with a slightly weary gesture said to the sea fairies, Why don't you ask him some questions? The fairies glanced at each other in confusion, their faces uncertain. Peter shouted happily, You can't guess. The game has gone on too long, I'll tell you myself. Peter paused for a moment, then shouted,
I am Peter Pan.
12 said together, Peter Pan, don't be afraid anymore. Hook became the same mean old man again, shouting, Bring me Peter Pan, bound and gagged right now. Peter's voice echoed in the swamp.
Ready now, boys!
From all around the swamp, the sound of splashing could be heard. Peter shouted, Attack the pirates! John was the first to jump into a boat, tying up one of the pirates. The poor pirate swung his sword around his head and jumped into the water. Michael followed right behind him, roaring like a lion. Every time John and the pirates surfaced from the water, the blades of their swords gleamed. In the midst of all this chaos, sometimes even the friends would attack each other by mistake.